when you look at the fact that he was drafted number one overall, Heisman Trophy winner, he was the face
Yeah.
of the franchise in Cleveland. And in one calendar year, he goes from Cleveland to Carolina. He was traded. Browns didn't want him. They traded him to Carolina. And then Carolina benched him. And he said, "Hey, would you mind if I got my release out of here? I'm not the future here." And they said, "Yeah, sure." So they released him. He thought he was going to San Francisco. The Rams stepped in actually and grabbed him. Then, of course, the next offseason, he lands in Tampa Bay on a cheap 1 year prove it deal. So within the span of 1 year, you go from the face of the franchise to literally being a journeyman. You're in your fourth team in one calendar year, right? So it's been a remarkable, humbling experience, I think, for Baker, but it's something that sometimes you need to kind of go through the fire, right? To like emerge on the other side. And it's made him a better player. He has everything I think he wanted in Cleveland, he has in Tampa. He's well respected, he's well liked, he fits in, and I'll never forget the very first practice, the very first OTA in 2023 when he came into the Buccaneers organization. The very first OTA, and usually it's like defensive players over here, offensive players over here doing their calisthenics and warm-ups. And he didn't know anybody from Adam. He didn't know Mike Evans. He didn't know Chris Godwin. He didn't know the offensive lineman. But the very first practice, he goes over and parks himself next to Vita Vea and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and the defensive players, Levante David. And he starts practicing with the defensive players. And remember, he was kind of like in a training camp battle with Kyle Trask, their second round pick,
Yeah.
who they drafted, and they had high hopes for him about possibly succeeding Tom Brady. So it was a bit of a calculated move. It's like, well, I mean, Baker, probably needs to develop some chemistry and rapport with the receivers he's going to throw to or the offensive line that he's going to block for. But what I loved about that was Baker saying, "Hey, I don't want to be the quarterback. I don't want to be the leader of the offense. I want to be a team captain. Like I want to get to know everybody on the team." And I just thought that kind of spoke volumes, and it really kind of ingratiated him into the team, and just his natural charisma just kind of took over. And in week one, he kind of like trucked a Minnesota Vikings defender on the way out of bounds, and that just kind of ignited the team. And I think Liam Cohen said it best because Liam spent some time with Baker in LA. He's an igniter. That's what he does. He's the switch that you turn on when you want the power. And he is the heartbeat of not just this offense, but this team.